guys, to this reading for the full moon on the 16th. We are having a full moon in Leo. It is actually going to transition over into Virgo the next day on the 17th. But I'm going to go ahead and start off with like a sort of an introduction to the energy of the moon and I guess the sun as well, because they kind of play a part in the full and new moons and just where the moon is at in general. So before I get into the readings, I made this reading a little bit more simple. I've already shuffled everything, so I don't need to do that. I'm just going to talk for a few minutes here. So with the full moon in Leo, the moon is all about our emotions, right? We all know that when full moons come around, and even new moons too, but especially full moons, when full moons come around, our emotions already are becoming more amplified. Thoughts are becoming more amplified because the moon in its full state is meant to draw out what was beginning within the new moon. And with the full moon in Leo wants to be seen, felt, and heard. It likes to shine, it likes to play around, and it's the sign of love too. So the feeling that I get with this full moon in Leo is, the emotions that you may be feeling may be a little bit more fiery and impulsive in nature. Maybe not really so much impulsive, because Leo is a fixed sign. A fixed sign is a sign that just likes to keep a routine, right? Leo is very much, it can be a stubborn sign, so any fixed sign can be kind of stubborn because it likes to plant its feet in a certain routine and just kind of go with that. But Leo is very fiery. It's a fire sign, obviously. So you may start finding yourself having a little more amplified emotions surrounding potential arguments or, things may kind of set you off a little bit more, especially if it's taking you out of that routine, because like I said, Leo likes to be within that routine. But Leo is very much the sign of love as well. So you may be experiencing a little more connection with children or just your relationships within your immediate surrounding. And because the sun is actually in Aquarius right now, and by the time you're reading this, it's going to be a little bit. This is supposed to be not reading this, but watching this. You're going to be watching it on Tuesday for Wednesday's full moon. So I'm recording this on Monday. But anyway, the sun is going to be in Aquarius. It still is in Aquarius. In Aquarius, the sun is always about our outward expression, kind of like how are we outwardly expressing ourselves and expressing that to the world, basically. And because it's in Aquarius is like the originality sign. It's the one of innovation. It's the one that kind of wants to be an individualist, come out with new ideas that are going to benefit the community or just groups as a whole. So it makes sense. That is very much the charitable sign. And, I started doing these readings again in the sign, or at least transitioning into the sign of Aquarius. So I've been doing this for 3 or 4 weeks by now. I'm not sure if it was exactly in Aquarius at that time, but it was transitioning into that, which makes sense to me. Because the previous sign is Capricorn anyway, and Capricorn is all about, business and putting in work towards, or diligent work towards an endeavor of yours. And it's just that energy of putting the kind of like the pedal to the metal in a way. But anyway, so a full moon is always going to be in opposition to the sun at that time. That's how you get a full moon. The sun is illuminating the moon, right? So you're always going to have an opposition. And opposition in astrology represents opposing forces. So the energy may be a little bit detached. So this idealistic side of ourselves that kind of want to give to charity or to give an original idea or just kind of give ourselves in some individualistic way to the community, it's going to be detached from that internal need to be seen, felt, and heard, right? So the point of that is you want to balance those energies out. So if you want to be seen, felt, and heard, don't allow that detached energy to stop you from doing that, basically. Because, if you want to, and the thing is with being seen, felt, and heard, with Leo being a playful sign, that also may be coming into, how the energy plays in together with the Aquarius sign. Because if you want to be a playful, original type, then that's kind of what I'm getting at here. But with the opposing forces that are going on with the sun and the moon, it's going to be detached. So it's going to be a little bit hard to get those two to kind of blend together. So anyway, that's kind of just a brief introduction or a brief overview of the energies at play here. Emotions are going to be high no matter what, because it is a full moon. What else was I going to say about this? I think that's basically it. The full moon is there to illuminate things. So, with the full, like again with the full moon in Leo, if it's bringing out certain aspects of yourself that like that playful side of yours, or ideas that you want to put into action because you want to be seen, felt, and heard. That's kind of like what it's talking about. Leo is a lot to do with love and self-love, and love of their ideas and love of how they wish to present themselves to the world. And it's like shining that light on the inner version of ourselves is kind of what the energy is all about. Leo loves to shine. It loves to be out in the open. So you may start finding yourself a little bit more inclined to be that way during this time. And if you're not being that way during this time, you may not have that feeling of being seen, felt, and heard, right? And that kind of can create a sort of negative imbalance with your emotional state. And so, but the good thing is like Leo is transitioning over to Virgo, and the lunar cycle is always changing. So we're gonna have new moons and full moons in different signs, and so it's just like a snapshot of your emotional state, or what's going to be surrounding collectively the emotional state of the people, and what's trying to be brought out from the inside out. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started with the reading. That was just kind of like a brief overview of the energies at play here. Like I said, I've already shuffled these, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm just going to go ahead and draw. Why do that card always comes out, man? I swear. All right, so first and foremost, the overall energy that I'm getting with this reading is the balance card. So this is like the equivalent to justice in the original tarot. So that actually makes sense. I mean, any full moon, I feel like there's a need for balance. But the thing is how this might be playing out in your life during this time is with law, legalities, contracts, the work that you've been putting in order to achieve or bring into fruition some sort of action that you've taken in the recent past. It's saying that this full moon is going to bring that out, basically. That's going to help you come back into balance within your own life, and it's like almost like total balance as well. And so you could be dealing with because the balance card, like in traditional tarot, the justice card, it does have a very strong tie to law, legal contracts, stuff like that. So when it says coming into balance, that's basically what it's saying. So be mindful of anything that's going on in your life that is coming into balance. Go with the flow, allow it to happen, and don't resist anything. And don't have expectations either. A lot of people say to have expect the best, hope for the best, expect the worst, or whatever that saying is. I'm not sure what that saying is. People say different things, but don't expect a specific outcome is the thing. You can expect the best, but what the best is actually for you may not be exactly the specific outcome that you envisioned or that you thought was going to happen. So just allow yourself to just be guided in the right direction. Allow things to play out the way they're meant to play out. And ultimately, that's what's going to help bring balance into your life anyway. So what's being illuminated here is the power card. So the illumination aspect is what's being brought out. And what's funny is the power card is actually the Leo card. It's just kind of funny to me. Because in traditional tarot, it's the equivalent to the strength card. And the strength card is ruled by the sign of Leo. So it's all about that inner power. Bringing out the courage in order to move forward on a certain aspect of your life. Because, with the power card, I generally always get, like, you may be going through something that may actually require more strength than you might want to give. Because with things coming into balance, you have to have that strength to be able to just let go, allow things to happen how they happen, and understand that you do have the willpower and the power within yourself to be able to move forward on that, right? And that's what's being illuminated. The sign of Leo is coming out. The sign of that courage and the love and the power that you have inside yourself is coming out of you. And so that actually you may start feeling more emotions that are more empowering too. You may be driven towards a certain endeavor with more gusto, more power within yourself to do it. And it's just saying to just go for it, basically. You have that strength, you have that willpower. What's being released is conflict and defeat. Okay, so what popped in my head just then immediately was gossip. We, as a society, need to get away from gossip. It is a negative vibrational experience, no matter how you look at it. If you want to talk about someone, talk about them in a positive way. Because what people don't understand is that thoughts do reverberate. It is an energetic form. And it does actually send out signals into the environment, and people pick that up. And especially like with communication, like if you don't know what I mean by this, when communication is non-local, you can actually think about someone in a negative way or a positive way, and that thought form is actually going to be released out to that person, and they can pick that up. So if you're sending out negative thoughts, like gossiping, for instance, to a person, that's building up on their negative energy, especially if they're sensitive to it and don't understand what it means to have psychic protection. We all have an electromagnetic field around us. This is well documented at this point. It's very much a reality, and it's just quite frankly true. And if you don't want to believe in that, that's fine. But science is catching up to the spiritual side of life at this point through quantum physics, and thoughts are a part of that. Your thoughts affect your biology. If you don't trust me when I say that, basically have a happy thought or a thought of a memory that gave you, a happy feeling in the past or whatever. It's going to create some sort of happy emotion, right? That's what I mean. So, or likewise, you have an angry thought, a thought that was an unpleasant experience. You might get sad, you might get angry, but ultimately that thought is what initiated your body to create that hormone. It's for you to experience. And that's what life is about. So when you send out thoughts are non-local. People will pick that up, and they may wind up creating subconsciously emotions that are tied to those things. So anyway, I know I got off on a tangent there, but I think that needed to be said. So if you are someone who might be into gossiping a lot, just back away from that. And if you start noticing yourself gossiping about someone or something, take a step back. It takes self-awareness to be able to look at yourself analytically in the moment. It takes a high degree of self-awareness to be able to do that. But that's the point of evolution. Evolution is very much tied to self-awareness. The more self-aware you become, the more conscious you become of your personal experiences, whether internally and externally, which, your internal experiences are going to wind up manifesting externally anyway. So anyway, I say anyway a lot. Please excuse me. So conflict and defeat. My initial thought was basically gossiping and kind of being in that mental anguish state because of that. You may be feeling some negative emotions, or just anything that may have happened recently or is about to happen that left you feeling defeated or having some sort of conflict. So whether it's inside yourself or with other people in your environment, that's what this is saying is what needs to be released. Holding on to those negative feelings, holding on to those negative vibrations in general are just going to keep you weighed down into your past. Obviously, you have negative experiences that are being stored within your memory bank, and you recollect those memories and you keep replaying those over and over again. What Susie said to Sally, or what she said about me, or whatever. Something happened that is keeping you stuck that needs to be released. And so the point here is like this person is going down the steps like he is defeated. He is very much like, I can't go on anymore. But the truth is like there's this wall over here with these people running up the stairs. So it's like you have the ability to get out of this mental mindset of conflict and defeat, turn around and go back up the stairs and keep continuing on your journey. And transformation. Okay, so I got the light card. What I'm feeling from this with transformation, it's about what is going to emerge, what you're going through. And it makes sense that this card is coming at the end here, because with balance coming in and the power card coming out, with having strength and having to move through certain motions or emotions, it makes sense that what's coming and what's emerging is actually illumination. So new ideas, new revelations, and new perspectives might wind up coming through to you as you move through this full moon, because the light card represents, it's the equivalent to the sun in the tarot cards and the major arcana, which I believe is also ruled by Leo, if I'm not mistaken. So there's actually double Leo cards here, which is pretty fascinating to me. So it's about shining yourself, bringing to light what was hidden previously. So you may start coming onto certain truths. Truths may be surfacing. Certain ideas may be surfacing. You may be actually coming out of your shell and into the light, so to speak. And what that means is like, you're no longer going to be kept hidden in the dark. You're going to allow yourself to be seen. And that's what this card is representing as well. So with that, this card also represents happiness. So as you let yourself shine, as you kind of release the weight of what was hidden or coming into a truth of some matter, you will feel lighter and therefore happier because of it. So that's what's transforming here, is you're becoming lighter, more vibrant, more efficient in your day-to-day processes as you release certain things that are no longer serving you. And more things are coming into balance as well. So moving on. Hopefully this isn't going to be too long, but some pretty good messages already coming through. So I like these cards because they're very much connected to the stars. So they have like ancient history, which like ancient Egyptian, this Thoth card here is more of ancient like Atlantis and Egypt as well. But anyway, first card here is the ancestral realm, karmic release, healing the lineage, and boundaries. So this, another thing that may be actually illuminating here, I'm definitely getting all three of those keywords are very much vibrating with me. Karmic release, healing lineage, and boundaries. So with the ancestral realm, what this is saying is like, as generations move on, we are tied to our past lineage. And if you cannot allow yourself to break certain cycles that have played out in your ancestral lineage, you're going to keep doing the same thing that they did and not creating something new out of that. So what may be transforming here is, and the power that you're going to be coming into is, this karmic release is very much tied to your lineage, and it takes the strength of yourself to see that, allow yourself to see that, become more self-aware, enforce those boundaries, because people don't enforce boundaries right now. People are like, more and more people are waking up to enforcing boundaries because it's very much a healthy thing. And the thing is like, if you enforce your boundary and that person winds up not liking you because of it, well, all you have to do at that point is either say, you can accept me for who I am and respect my boundaries, or I have no reason to continue our relationship with you anymore. I mean, that's basically how it is. That's how I've been. If you can't respect me, my wishes, and my boundaries, and you're trying to encroach on those boundaries, I'm not going to allow you to be within my circle, basically. So I'm very much like a truth warrior. I respect people's boundaries, and other people need to respect your boundaries as well. So with the healing lineage part, it's like you're coming into more awareness of certain karmic patterns that have been playing out in your life, which that with the illumination card here, it definitely makes sense, because that has to be illuminated and you have to become more self-aware in order to understand what is being played out, so that you can release that. When you do release that, future lineages are going to benefit from that, because it becomes easier and easier to have a more positive outcome and create more positive behaviors. There you go. Thoth light code. So Thoth was an Atlantean god, basically. I'm not going to go too much into that because I'm still kind of learning more about Thoth. But either way, the keywords here are light initiation, great teacher awakening, and divine magic. So I believe what this is saying is like, we are all being taught some very strong lessons right now. And the light initiation is saying that we are moving into the next phase of our existence. And so as our light is being upgraded, because if you don't know this, every one of us is made of light. And the best way to understand it is when you look at the quantum physics aspect of our being, get past the physical part, move down into the molecular, look down into the atom, look down into the electrons, protons, neutrons, and the quarks, and so on and so forth. So on and so forth. Electrons actually emit photons. So electrons themselves are depicted as light. And so if you look at our most fundamental aspects of ourselves, and even then, like it goes even further down to the Planck scale as well, which I'm not going to get into that because it's I'm still very much new to the Planck scale, but there's things that are much more smaller than even protons, neutrons, and electrons. But anyway, we are light beings. We are creatures of the light, and that has been depicted in so many religious texts. Spiritual gurus have talked about that. Science is just now starting to understand that this is a truth of our reality. We are not physical beings. We are light beings having a physical experience. And so light can very much be manipulated and transformed and upgraded. There are very, very many different wavelengths that light can manifest itself. So anyway, and if you look at it, like when you look at DNA, and I think that this is what this is saying, because it's talking about divine magic. If DNA is made of molecules, and molecules are made of atoms and stuff like that, DNA can actually change and transform. If light can enter our DNA and help transform the DNA through conscious evolution, then our physical experience is by default going to transform along with it. And I believe that this is what this is saying. You are becoming more into, you are more awakening to the teacher within because you're becoming more aware of the truth of reality. That's basically what I'm getting from this card. Moving on, that was a little bit more spiritual and deep, so hopefully I didn't lose you with that. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I can definitely help clarify certain concepts that I talk about. I understand them, but I know not everyone is deep into their spiritual awakening, or just their spiritual truths in general. A lot of us have been indoctrinated into certain belief systems, and the more you awaken, the more confusing it can be until you know how to integrate that knowledge into your existence. But anyway, new moon in Gemini. Communication is key. So what I'm immediately getting from this card is you may be actually receiving some sort of communication that is going to help you move towards something. Gemini is very much about messages, communications, and intellect. And so what this could come in the form of somebody else bringing you some sort of communication to move into a new phase or a new step or step along your journey, basically. So that's just what I'm getting from this card, is like, just be mindful that you might be receiving some sort of communication from someone that's going to help you along your journey. Full moon in Taurus, your dreams need a practical plan. So what this is saying is there's very good energy surrounding taking the steps towards some sort of physical manifestation, whether it's a job, whether it's a home, whether it's a business, whatever it is you're trying to do. It's saying that there's a more need to be more practical about the steps to take moving forward. And that there is, like with communication coming in, you may be actually waiting on some sort of communication in order to move forward on a plan of yours, on an idea of yours that you want to manifest. And so what this is saying is, like, if I'm reading these two cards together, it's like there is going to be communication coming in so that you can start moving forward. Taurus is the sign of taking steps towards your goal, basically, and what your values, what are your values and how you're going to achieve those values and moving towards that. Taurus is very much a slow, steady pace. So it may not happen very quickly, but what this is saying is, like, as long as you put in the work and move towards it when the time is right, you're going to eventually and essentially reap what you have sown. And that's what I'm getting from that card as well. All right, so I drew two spirit message cards here. This could be talking about an actual person that has passed on, or just bringing in additional messages from spirit. And I'm going to go and read it for you. It says, let go, which that's kind of like what the idea here is, a lot of releasing. Once you let go of the outcome, that's what I was saying earlier. Don't release the need to have expectations as things unfold. because we get so caught up in our minds and how we want things to play out. And when it doesn't play out exactly the way we wanted it to, even though it still played out in our favor, it very much puts us at like in a state of being that just doesn't feel very good because we didn't get what we wanted, right? We kind of become children like that. You'll be able to release all the emotional constraints that have held you back in the past. Trust in the higher good and guidance of spirit, as we have only your best intentions at heart and will do everything in our power to protect you. So it's a card, as much of a card as protection as it is of just letting the leaves fall when the time is ready for them to fall. I mean, look at this. There's fall leaves coming off of this person's hand. The person's hands represent you. The fall leaves talk about, like, in relation to trees that actually have leaves that can fall off of them when they no longer serve the tree's purpose because they start dying out. It's saying let those things die out, let those emotions be released, let relationships be released, let things like the gossip, like I was talking about earlier, anything negative or no longer serving you, let that go, because that's what this full moon is coming to help illuminate. Where are your needs being met? How can you be seen, felt, and heard? And if you're not being seen, felt, and heard by someone or something, then you need to reevaluate that and possibly let it go. And then we also got trust. Immediately, it's just talking about trust and timing, trust in the flow of life, and trust in your guidance from the universe or God or spirit, whatever you want to call it, to be able to help you move along your journey. Especially if you're releasing things, trust that what you are releasing is for your highest good. I mean, that's basically what that's saying, but I'm going to read it too as well. While your logical mind is dictating a supposedly clear direction, your soul's inner guidance is urging you to follow an alternative path. The logical path may be one that you consider safe and more familiar, but you could be missing out on boundless opportunities and so much more. Right, so again, trust what's unfolding for your life. You know, if you have this narrow mindset about how things are playing out, you're going to miss opportunities that are being brought to you. I mean, basically it's what it is. So allow yourself to become more self-aware. The new moon reading that I did, I talked about awareness as well. Self-awareness is very much key to manifesting a life that you want. Or, you know, if you got certain baggages that you're holding on to, self-awareness is also key in order to recognize that you do have baggage, and that releasing that baggage is going to help you be more free, have more freedom, feel more at peace and harmony with your environment. That's basically what it is. So trust in the unfoldment, trust what's coming to you, heal through that past lineages that, you know, if you have like started to see new ideas surrounding things that you can release as far as karmic cycles go and negative behaviors, allow those to come to being, because when you heal through that lineage, that's where that divine magic comes in. That's where that transformation happens and your light is initiated, and your DNA might wind up changing because of that. And when your DNA changes, your behaviors change. When your behaviors change, well, your behaviors and thought very much have a tie there, but when your behaviors change, your actions towards how you manifest your life is also going to change. So therefore, the entire transformation process is commenced. And so that's the overall. There's a lot of transformation happening within this reading. It's coming into your power. Life is balancing out, releasing gossip, releasing negativity, and essentially becoming more self-aware and illuminating those parts of yourself that need to come out and shine. That's what the Leo moon is all about. Coming out, being your authentic self, and essentially having fun with the process as well. So anyway, this reading was actually pretty cool. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this. Next week, I'm trying to think of new ideas to incorporate an additional bonus reading every week on top of the weekly readings, just to keep the flow going, you know. Next week, I could wind up doing a relationship reading. I might wind up doing a money career reading, and it just whatever ideas come to me. Or I may do no additional reading at all. Who knows? It's what I feel drawn to. But I just wanted to give you guys a heads up if you are interested in stuff like that. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully it resonated with you on some level. Be mindful of the things that are going to be playing out for you. Allow it to unfold. And like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed it. See you guys in the next one.